Yes you, watching this video. You may be scared of 3D. In fact, you may have clicked on this video without any actual intention of trying out this 3D. But what if I told you that 3D was just as easy as a rotation, slide, or screen pump transition? Granted, it takes a little bit more time, but it requires no plugins, not even Element 3D. It's way more simple than it seems, so please have faith in me, yourself, and keep watching. Hey guys, it's Lauren. I hope you enjoyed the little pep talk, but I feel like it was very much needed because today I'm going to teach you about camera layers and how to use them, and kind of how to create a 3D setting / room, and how to make smooth null object layer transitions all without any plugins. Alright, let's get right into it. So for this I have 4 different clips and I'm going to show you them starting from top down. So first I just have 2 photos that I'm going to mask, and this is the first one, and then this is the second one. And then for the 3D setting, I've chosen a city, so I just got a backdrop of a city street. And lastly, I have a picture of a crosswalk, which will be acting as the floor. And this is where our masked pictures will kind of be resting atop of. Just to give you more context on what a floor kind of means, let's say instead I was doing a beach backdrop. I would have a picture of an ocean for the backdrop, but then I'd have a picture of sand to act as my floor. Or how about this example of this 3D museum I made in one of my more recent edits? As you can see, I just have a picture of a beige wall as the background, and then I just got a picture of hardwood floor for, of course, my floor. So really it all just depends on what kind of setting or scenario you want to create. Alright, so first you want to make sure your motion blur is enabled and that you've enabled it on all your clips as well. And most importantly, you want to make sure 3D is enabled on these clips. Okay, so now we're going to mask both of our photos. So I'm going to do this using Rota Brush, which is a really quick and effective masking method. So just click on the little Rota Brush icon and double tap on your display. And then all you have to do is in green, color in like the general outline of what you want to mask. As you can see, it does a pretty good job, but we still need to clean up some stuff. So right here, we missed her backpack, so I'm just gonna fill that in. But then there are also some areas that got masked that we don't want to be masked. So to get rid of these areas, just hold down Alt on your keyboard and this thing should turn red, and then just color in what you want to erase. And as you can see, it's pretty simple. Then change your feather to around 40. For some smooth and clean edges. Then you just want to hit your spacebar so it plays and kind of renders the masking. Now just X out of this layer and go back to your selection tool. So for this next photo, just like last time, go to your Rota Brushing tool and double click on the display, and then just create a mask of your person using the same technique. Just like last time, change your mask feather to around 40. Then X out of your solid layer and go back to your selection tool. So now in effects and presets, look up drop shadow and add that to just your top clip. Then change both the distance and softness to around 30. And then just drag the shadow direction so it's near the top right. So your shadow is kind of over here. Then click on where it says drop shadow and hit Command C to copy the effect. Then click on your other masked photo and hit Command V to paste the effect in it. So now we are going to click on where it says active camera and we're going to switch to custom view 1. So first what you're going to do is click on the photo that is acting as your floor, so again minus the crosswalk. Then hit R on your keyboard to go to rotation and change the X rotation to -90. Then if you have snapping, you want to enable it, but if you don't have snapping, just do your best trying to drag it into place. And then I'm just going to drag this towards the bottom of our backdrop photo. So it's exactly perpendicular, just like a wall is perpendicular to a floor in real life. So it should look like this. Now for your first mask photo, hit P on your keyboard to go to position, then start decreasing this third position value. And as you can see, this mask photo is literally popping right out of the backdrop. And we've created some dimension. Now I'm just gonna decrease the first position value so it moves a little bit to the left. Okay, so now click on your second mask photo and again hit P on your keyboard to go to position. And again, we're gonna start decreasing this third position value, but you don't wanna decrease it as much as you did for your first mask photo, because we want there to be a gap between the backdrop and our first mask photo, and then a gap between the first mask photo and the second mask photo. So if we put them at the same value, then they'll kind of be in the same layer, and we want there to be a gap between the layers. So I'm gonna do around like -200. So now let's go back to our active camera. Now click on the clip that's on the very top and go to Layer, New, Null Object. Make sure to enable 3D onto the null object layer, and then highlight all of the clips below the layer. Hold down on one of these little spirals and then just drag it so it's on top of the null object layer, and then let go. And now all of your clips should be connected to the null object. Now click on the null object layer and hit P to go to position, and then start increasing the third value so it kind of starts zooming out. And so with this new camera angle, we can make some adjustments. So first, I'm going to increase the scale of our backdrop because you can see it's not big enough. So I'm just going to hit S on my keyboard and start increasing the scale. I'm also going to increase the scale of our floor, and then I'm just going to drag it down a little bit because it kind of got out of place. So as you can see, for both of our mask photos, they're kind of resting more on the backdrop than they are on the floor. So I'm just going to keep decreasing this third position value to make them come forward a little bit more. And then I'm just going to keep going back to the position for the null object layer and increasing it so it's more zoomed out. And again, I'm going to increase the scale of our backdrop because it's a little bit off. I think the reason why people get scared of 3D is because, as you can tell, it takes like a lot of adjustment. This is not something that you're going to get perfect like right on the first try. And you really just have to not be afraid to just mess around with your scale and position values until you get like the perfect fit. Okay, so now for our transition. All right, so first click on your null object layer and hit R on your keyboard to go to rotation. At the very beginning of your layer, add a keyframe for X rotation and Y rotation. I'm gonna make the X rotation around 7 and the Y rotation around 12. Then drag your time indicator towards the end of the layer, and then just change the signs of both of these values. So I'm gonna change it to -7 and -12. Now what you're gonna do is drag your current time indicator so it's right in the middle of the two sets of keyframes. And then you're just gonna add 2 more keyframes for X and Y rotation and don't change anything. Then highlight all of your keyframes, right click on one of them, go to Keyframe Assistant and go to Easy Ease. And I'm gonna first start off with the graph for X rotation, so I'm gonna click on one of the X rotation keyframes and go to my graph editor. So I like to edit this in terms of speed graph, so if your graph doesn't look like mine, just click here and click on Edit Speed Graph. So we wanna pull this first curve to the right and this second curve to the left, but we don't wanna drag it all the way to the right or all the way to the left. We want there to still be some sort of curve. So I'm just gonna speed through this part and you should follow my graph. So this is what my graph looks like. My second peak is a little bit higher than my first peak. And now we're gonna do the exact same thing, but with the graph for the Y rotation. All right, so now still being clicked on your null object layer, hit P on your keyboard to go to position. At the very beginning of the layer, add a keyframe for position. And I'm just gonna start decreasing this third position value so it starts zooming in. Then I'm gonna decrease the second value to move it up a little bit. And I'm gonna decrease the first value so it moves a little bit more to the left. Then I'm gonna drag my time indicator to the end of the null object layer. And this time I'm gonna start increasing this third position value so it zooms out. I'm gonna increase this first position value to move it a little bit more to the right. And lastly, I'm gonna increase the second value to move it up a little bit. All right, so just like before, you wanna drag your current time indicator so it's right in the middle of your 2 keyframes. And then just add another keyframe and you don't have to adjust anything here. Then easy ease your keyframes and go to your graph editor. We're gonna follow the same type of graph as before when we're dragging it to the right and left, but not all the way to the right and left. And we still want there to be a little bit of a curve, so just follow my graph. Again, the second curve should be a little bit taller than the first. All right, guys, you gotta give it to me. That really wasn't as hard as it seems. Well, I hope you guys try this out and don't find it too difficult. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. Bye!